Marina presents an Enthision's theory. The lifeless dead fish. Ahoy! My name is Marina, and I'll be your captain today as we ride on Enthision's lifeless dead fish. Be prepared to get wet. First things first, like, comment and subscribe. Second order of business, hands off the captain at all times. Lastly, if any one of you landlubbers disobeys an order, you walk the plank. Got it? Good. Now, let's go. As you could guess, my deck's boss monster is Lifeless Leaf Fish. He is the engine to this deck. His first effect allows him to send a fish monster from deck to grave on summon. And his second effect allows you to banish him from the grave, in order to shuffle 3 other fish monsters in grave back into the deck. Then you draw 1 card. The foolish burial on a body effect is good enough, but the recycle and the draw, that's nice. With some knowledge of the seas, Enthision knew just what cards could help support this monster, and seal up its cracks if any. That leads us to the support, because a captain's nothing without her crew. First, Botuniful Princess. On summon she can banish herself to special summon a fish from deck. That fish should usually be Lifeless Leaf Fish. Now that we have 6 copies, we needed a monster who could really benefit from being sent to grave. That monster turned out to be Nimble Angler. When it's sent to the graveyard from hand or deck by a card effect, you can special summon 2 nimble monsters from deck. And while he's perfect, you want to make sure you have enough nimble monsters to summon, as his effect really isn't once per turn. Sunfish sends a fish to deck to the grave and replaces itself if destroyed by battle, and if Manta is sent from the field to the grave by card effect, it can summon up to 2 more from deck. These are great pivot options if your opponent has some interaction, but they also can be potential starters or extenders. Speaking of extenders, now that we've got the main core out of the way, there's some other cards that just fall in line nicely. Like Fishborg Launcher. When he's in the grave and there are only water monsters in your grave, he special summons himself. Him being a tuner is a nice touch and a gateway into our synchro plays. But even if not, he's still Link Crow fodder. He even banishes himself instead of returning to the grave, and these as well as some previously mentioned cards, synergize swimmingly without Deck's powerhouse, Marincess Great Bubble Reef. Her effects are: during each standby phase, you can banish 1 water monster from your graveyard or face-up field to draw 1 card. Also, each time a monster is banished face-up, Marincess Great Bubble Reef gains 600 attack for each banished monster until the end of the turn. And lastly, you can send 1 water monster from your hand to the grave, then special summon one of your banished Marincess monsters. The first and the last effect are both once per turn, but the second effect? The second effect means she can get pretty strong just from naturally progressing through the combo. With this we remove the banishment downside and turn it into a plus. With her effect to special summon back a Marincess Coral Anemone, which itself can special summon back a water monster with 1,500 or less attack. They say when it rains it pours. In this deck, even the drizzles can lead to a deluge. Elemental Lord Mulinglacia and Gizmeco Kami are just some big bodies that can summon themselves under the right conditions. Mulinglacia forces the opponent to discard 2 on summon, and Gizmeco Kami can destroy all monsters on the field that were special summoned from the extra deck. To back all that up, we are running some of the best water support spells and traps, including Fury of Kairyushin, White Mirror, White Fish Salvage, and Fish and Swaps. We add to that some Solemn Judgments, triple torrential tributes, and a couple of imperms. Your opponent better hope they can play as close to the ground as possible, because it's gonna be hard to stick a big monster through these traps. Rounding out the main with some staples, the Board Wipe Brigade, Foolish, Mind Control, a Forbidden Chalice and a 1-for-1, our deck is full of really good cards. No wasted draws at all really. As far as the extra deck, our main go-to is Marincess Anemone. You will want to play her at a number higher than 1. Aside from Bubble Reef, everything else in this deck is specifically to exploit their water attribute. So let's jump right in. We start with 2 of our Leaf Fish and a solid opening. We'll start with Lifeless Leaf Fish. Fortunately for us, they have no response. We will send Angler to grave and then we are off to the races. Angler will summon 2 monsters, and those 2 along with Leaf Fish will turn into Mistar Boy and Coral Anemone. From there we summon our Great Bubble Reef. After that, we can send back all of the nimble monsters we used to deck to draw 1 card and have them ready to recur next turn. With this particular setup, we can banish the Anemone on their standby and draw a card, then if it survives we can banish Mistar Boy and draw another card on my turn and summon back the Anemone. They drop a Zoo King Alpha, and that's gonna put me on strike. Unfortunately he has 2 more. He's going to slam them down and then do this Drytron Shuffle? Let's listen to the music of the seas while he plays with his deck. But we're back. With all that, and their load couldn't even fill the ship. We're still in the game. And with this Raigeki, now is the time for the seas to come alive. Rise. Activate your effect, send Nimble Angler to the grave. That'll bring forth 2 sunfish. Now Marincess Coral Anemone, come forth. Fish up Mistar Boy from his watery grave. And now the show's all yours. I summon forth my Marincess Great Bubble Reef. We'll activate her effect and that Nimble Angler that was a brick in hand just turned to a second spin cycle in the Nimble Loop. We will bring back Anemone and my opponent's about to get washed away like a vessel at sea, swallowed whole by the torrents in the Great Bubble Reef. Now that's how you drop a load. Mama's ready for round 2. Here we are. And we start this duel with our beautiful Tunaful Princess, 3 traps and Mulling Lacia. It's about to be as fishy as a yoga class. Lifeless going to drop Nimble and then the party will begin. Once we have both Nimbles on board, we can find our way from Anemone to Bubble Reef, and once we do, we'll have exactly 5 waters in our grave, the exact amount needed to summon this Mulling Lacia from my hand. When she's summoned she rips 2 cards straight from the opponent's hand. As if having 2 Solemns isn't enough, the hand rip and Torrential Tribute pretty much accounts for his whole hand. Oh yeah, the Leafish and Bubble Reef effects will net me more advantage. The tides are rising, but he can't handle this wave. We will set 3 and end our turn. Let's see if he can battle back. First we will use Bubble Reef. We drew into a Foolish Burial. It can set off our Nimble monster, but I could also send Lifeless Leaf Fish with Foolish then discard a monster, if I draw one, to special summon Anemone with Bubble Reef's effect and then use Anemone to summon back the Lifeless, or just Monster Reborn if not. Whoa, opponent dropped Chaos Max. Oh, he was trying to penetrate without consent for sure. I do not feel bad for him. It's time to waterboard this dry asshole. No diddy. Match number 2, and we start with a beautiful hand. I'll summon forth Lifeless and activate his effect. I'll pitch Nimble Angler and summon 2 Nimble Manta from deck. Next I'll convert 2 materials into Mistar Boy, then link up into Anemone to special summon back the Star Boy. Some destinations have multiple routes, but as long as we arrive at the Great Bubble Reef, we're definitely on track. Now that we've arrived, we will activate Leafish's Graveyard effect to get an extra draw and buff Bubble Reef in the process. Then we'll set 2 and let the opponent try to swim out of this. The Twin Twister will force the Solemn Judgment and reveal the opponents on Skull Servants. But Bubble Reef will allow us to draw into a Torrential. You know, being at sea I've seen a lot of bones, but never a boner bone. I wonder why. Anyway, the opponent summons Unizombie, and that just might be the number 1 impermed card in Duel Monsters. Today's no different. But he's not finished yet. The opponent's got heart. White Prince is going to allow him to summon a king of the Skull Servants. Imperm's lingering effect negates his instant fusion, but then White Mare summons a lady in white, and even a jester confit. Looks like he's taken some swimming lessons. He'll summon a couple links, one of which will drop my Bubble Reef's attack and will allow him to swing over my Bubble Reef. That's a tough blow, but I think we can re-establish our board. First, let's make his Skull Servant betray him with mind control. After that, we're gonna turn our beautiful tuna to a lifeless fish. From here you can guess what's next. Our nimble angler is going to turn into 2 manta, and his Skull Servant's gonna turn into my area. Everyone's taking a turn. Kinda like my mother. Anemone will fish up the star, then I'll use the 2 ladies to make the Great Lady Bubble Reef. Deadfish's grave effect will draw us into Fury of Kairyu-shin. Not only a torrential tribute searcher, but also protection from the grave for my water monsters when needed. Then we drop the fish and swaps and add back one of my banished fish. If my opponent somehow makes it through 2 torrential tributes, I will be able to do my combo all over, minus the Bubble Reef. We'll activate our Bubble Reef for the last time, before they succumb to the waves. Tally-ho, you landlubbers! It's been a fantastic journey, but I can see land in the distance, and I know you scallywags are a little seasick. I hope you learned something today on our journey. You may never make good duelist, but with my waterworks you'll make great seamen. By the way, I'm not too sure how you all plan to get off that island, but I've got booty to chase, so hope you have extra undies. You guys can sail with me again on the next Enthision's Theory.